here and stay for 7 weeks with minimum comforts and try to focus on the teachings and own up yourself. In Swamiji's words, merging in the source or reality. Thanks, students, for coming and being here with us. Big round of applause. Keep applauding. A big round of applause and heartfelt thanks to Shri Kalpesh Ji for teaching Deva Bhasha to all Samskritam Manaha. Where is Kalpesh Ji? I think he might have tied on with some responsibilities sitting in the hall. Can he come for 1 minute? He must be on official work, but still we want to... He was walking out. Okay. Anyway, Kalpesh Ji, we fondly remember you. Please come. A big round of applause to and heartfelt thanks to Teriko. Please stand up. Radha and Girija. For accommodating the other students who were not able to follow our Kalpesh Ji's classes. It's necessary to have healthy body to focus on the teachings. This was lovingly and gently provided by both the yoga teachers. I request them to stand up. Mrs. Vijaya Darve and Lance Daniels. If you wish, you can all thank me for teaching you chanting. Our heartfelt thanks to Mr. Sahadev for tirelessly. Swamiji personally thanked him. It's our duty to thank him also. So, for tirelessly recording all the lectures with a smile and ease, Sahadev, we could increase our online attendance by providing live streaming facility. I believe at least 100 people might have been listening every day. Thanks, Sahadev. Thank you very much. A hectic day requires certainly some relaxation at the end of the day. So we thank Mrs. Jyoti Chalam, Savitri Mani, and Bharati Badrinath for rendering melodious bhajans during the satsang time. Where are they? Nobody is there? Okay. Bharati, they all left. Okay. And if they are watching this live stream, perhaps they would listen to it. Okay, we thank our entire Gurukulam staff and hired staff for their utmost cooperation and support. Give a big round of applause to them. Our special thanks to kitchen crew led by Ramachandran and Thara Ben, and housing crew led by our Suresh. So they did a wonderful job. It is easy to cook for 1 or 2 days, but it is very difficult and make a lot of planning for cook for 7-8 weeks. They did a wonderful job. They deserve a big round of applause. I thank all the Seva volunteers for helping us in the kitchen and lecture hall. Ifata, you are Shiva, the one who took lead. Please stand up. And thanks to all other volunteers who were behind the scene and tried to remain anonymous. Thanks, everyone. Now it is time to invite few of our students who will share their thoughts about the course and synopsis of the teachings. To begin with, I invite Swamini Srividyanandaji. What she is going to say in her words or in Swamiji's words. We cannot absorb and retain 7 weeks of class material. Stop. So, we have asked Swamini to give a review of the entire unfolding, which will be very useful to everyone. Swamiji is so humble, he added one more sentence by saying, it will be useful for me too. And this film, the duration of this film will be 20 minutes. Relax, listen, and enjoy. Swamini, please come and say a few words. TK Srinivasan will be invited, so I request Srinivasan to get ready. After that, we have the young couple, Aditya and Navya. They will say a few words. And if time permits, if we have time, and if one can be short, sweet, meaningful, we'll invite them. Thank you very much.
Namaskaram to all of you, Suddhatmaji. Someone said, there is a tempest in every wave, essentially. But a real tempest is a phenomenon, a wonder. Sri Shankaracharya, Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, Bhagavan Ramana are considered to be Mahavaibhavam, great wonders, because there was a real tempest in them. Treading on their footprints, our Swamiji is no less a tempest, a wonder. And now all of us have this longing. We have been Swamiji's students for so many years, following his every footstep diligently and emulating him in every way, like bubbles reflecting the glory of the ocean. And yet, we remain blissfully unscathed. Hey Bhagavan, why me, Prabhu? Now this saving grace is, when we know that the potential for a tempest is inherent in every bubble, and that given the right wherewithal, the bubbles will soon gain the status of a full-blown tempest, then, in an instant, like Swamiji says, we too will realize ourselves as wonders. And Swamiji says, self-knowledge is like an explosion. Bhagavan Ramana's disciple Paul Brunton reassures us, there is a divine light, comforting salvation for all. One day, the realization of this truth will engulf all humanity. My attainment must unfailingly come to me in the end. Unquote. Yes, indeed, the attainment must unfailingly come, because isn't the tempest that Swamiji is creating in us a life-changing journey? A radical transformation? Kathopanishad indeed has enhanced that transformation. Please, won't you show your appreciation to Swamiji? After the initial introduction, Swamiji pointed out that the study of Vedanta is not a modification of thought. It is a means for cognitive transformation of consciousness. The understanding gained is converted into inner wisdom, which is the Vidya. In this Upanishad, the significance of Yamadharmaraja teaching Brahma Vidya is to show that he is the embodiment of Nisheda, negation. The knowledge of Atma is attained by negating the illusory world and all the fixations we subject ourselves to. It creates an intimation about Atma, that there is something more than the body. Logic does not come into the forefront here. Atma is beyond verbal expression because truth comes into its own in silence. Extolling Upasana, mental worship, as an important means to gain Swarga, Swamiji explains it further. Upasana is aparavidya, which in a way is avidya, ignorance. The implication is the result created by ignorance cannot be real. Another name for ignorance is mind or thinking, which is merely daydreaming. Is there any reality to it? Unquote. Swamiji gave an insightful clarification of dream from Dakshinamurti Stotram. Swapne jagrati va paribramitaha. The dream continues because you have not understood that you are dreaming. I am talking about the waking state, which is a dream. This is the essence of bondage in which you mix the real with the unreal. You are on an inexorable cycle of pleasure and pain due to this ignorance. Until you remain consumed by Maya, this ignorance, this cycle will continue. All this can be eliminated by knowledge. The result of knowledge crosses the limits of the result. Unquote. There is a systematic problem embedded in consciousness. The foregone conclusion is that there is a goal to pursue, and so a means is needed. Now, if there is no goal to accomplish, then you can with conviction say, I am done with it. They are all anitya, unreal. Because of such conviction, Nachiketa rejected the bhogas and asked for samparaya, the great reality. Take a pause. I'm going to read this fast because the clock is ticking faster than usual, seems like. Swamiji elaborates on the verse 29, Yasmin idam vichikitsanti mrityoho, in his inimitable style. The boon has entered into an inaccessible depth. Desires and fears are thought patterns of the mind. It is a superficial movement in consciousness. So you will not know the width of the consciousness, which holds the entire universe within itself, and you will not know its depth, which is the divinity, the God you worship. When you hover in the surface consciousness, you are consumed by desires and fears. Nachiketa's interest was in something deeper. The boon has acquired the status of discrimination that is not easy to come by. Only when there is incisive discrimination, a boon becomes meaningful. The rarity of achievement through a boon for self-knowledge is the topic. Unquote. Swamiji once said, take the efficacy of examples to their highest limits and understand the spirit of it. Endowed with the gift of words, over the years, Swamiji has been enthralling us with the examples that come alive. Even though profundity is the order in general, we witness a particular part or illustration to be conspicuously powerful and outstanding. For example, this diamond Kantabaranam. It's very sad. It says, Swaminiji, look at me. I glitter and I'm beautiful, and it is my nature to beckon people because they get attracted to me. But this Swami is always picking on me for no fault of my own. So I say, Amma, Swamiji is not picking on you. Swamiji only says, do not come under the spell of and in the grip of desires which is the bane in our lives. The idea is that the mere mention of examples should bring the anuvritti, the corresponding explanations should flash in the mind and thus maintain a steady remembrance of the teaching. And now we come to today's Kathopanishad fame example. Can anybody remember? Ramba and Urvashi? No, the Zika virus. Now, what flashes in your mind when you hear that word? A weird form like the ones you see in Star Trek or Harry Potter? Yeah, that's the one who is the very personification of ignorance. Seems like this thing called ignorance is extremely potent, because in verse 2:5, Acharya Shankara seemingly goes to the very limits of reproach, comparing it with the thick darkness of night, Ghani Bhuta Iva Tamasi. Not satisfied with that, in 2:6, the Acharya refers to it as covered by tamas, tamasa achannam. William Shakespeare goes one step further. There is only one darkness, which is the darkness of ignorance. Elsewhere, in a totally different context, Nasadiya Suktam refers to this kind of intense darkness as darkness covered by darkness. Goodness, how dark can this darkness be? Oh, a lot more. Swamiji tops them all by saying, a deluge of darkness, and brought out razor-sharp points to ponder regarding ignorance. Avidya. Ignorance is a clear path to self-gratification, which leads to samsara. As avidya increases, desires increase, and delusion follows suit. The avidya is regarding the essential nature of names and forms, the reality in experiences, and knowledge of the world and myself. Ignorance makes us say, I know, which closes the door to knowledge. When I look around, which is people and the world, and when I look at myself, which is the body-mind identified person, what I see, I feel, I know. But the fact is I do not know. This is where knowledge begins. After this inner distillation, consciousness undergoes a radical transformation and becomes conducive to gaining the knowledge. Unquote. Yoga Vasishta covers the topic of ignorance extensively and says, the perfect cessation of craving, born of perfect understanding, is known as liberation. Unquote. Swamiji, with his masterful handling of the Bhashya, took us on an exploration of the inner space, Atma, from where we couldn't but see the fact for what it is. People do not see the contradiction in wanting to keep their attachment to things of the world and also want to know Atma. This is an obstacle to knowledge. The fixation of the mind on the false is not conducive to know the truth. Atma is Ananya, none other than you. There is no other to know. Come into yourself to know yourself through Adhyatma Yoga. It has nothing to do with Atma, but it has everything to do with the mind. Mind has to be made transparent. Withdraw the mind from the fishing net that you throw to cover as much of the world as possible and make it silent. Abide in the self. Merge in it. When accumulated knowledge is floating within, there is no place for the real thing. Become free from this kind of limited knowledge. It becomes a screen, an armor. Truth, being very subtle, gets hidden by the screen. As Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa said, do not run after the mirage water when there is a pond nearby. All you need to do is remove the moss on the surface and drink. Unquote. Nachiketa said to Yamadharmaraja, Yat pashyati tatvada. Tell me what you see, what you know about that which is beyond dharma and adharma, beyond cause and effect, and past and future. Swamiji explains, something beyond dharma and adharma is the being. Nachiketa wants to go beyond causality, behind the realm of karya, which is time-bound. We live in the illusion of time. Movement is the cause of time, as in day and night. It is a sequence in memory alone. So, mind is a mental category. Thought is in time. So when you are silent, time stands still. In becoming, which is fulfilling desires, you're bound by time, and when you step out of it and just be as a timeless being, you're in a timeless realm. The transactions of the masses is in the past, present, future, cause, effect, and dharma, adharma. When you are within this psychological time, you cannot seek the timeless because knowing is always in the now, unquote. Swamiji's analysis on the subject of Om. Om designates the goal, signifies the supreme reality. Coming from deep within the heart, it is the sound of the soul. It transcends the realm of speech and thoughts and takes you to the ineffable. In chanting Om, thoughts merge in the chant, and the chant resolves within along with the thoughts. Thus, inner harmony is maintained while chanting, which helps to rise above emotional problems. Its glory is that the soul merges with the divinity within, and the world melts away. You are engulfed in the sound. It courses through the veins and pulsates in the heart. The silence that ensues is not the void, but the light of divinity, unquote. While unfolding Advaita Prakaranam, be still, Swamiji continued to exhort us. Stillness is the experience of the being, your real self. This deep stillness, wherein every trace of the personal self dissolves, is verily the crucifixion of the ego, unquote. Friends, here is my 2 cents worth. We think that to attain and sustain this state is challenging because sensing its demise, the ego will be aroused to a fierce struggle for its own existence. It is impossible for the mind to conceive of a state wherein the personal ego melts in submission to the impersonal infinite. But if you commit to memory Swamiji's words, you give power to the mind. Excuse me. You give power to the mind, then befriending the mind will be a foregone conclusion. In bringing out the nature of Atma, Swamiji's endless angles and refreshing new approaches gave the message a distinctive quality. The light of awareness, Atma, ever shines, therefore it cannot have birth and death. Because it's birthless, it is nitya, timeless, deathless. It is timeless, so the element of time is not there. Atma does not know itself. Knowing will mean doing, and Atma is not a doer. Since Atma has no birth and death, it cannot kill or be killed. By choosing the act of killing to take away doership from Atma, all sentiments about death is swept away. Atma is eternally new. A new thing goes through the process of growth, but Atma does not grow, being free from effect, the operation of time. Since it does not grow and it is eternal, it does not decline. It is ancient and yet timelessly present because it does not come from memory. When you abide in Atma, which is yourself, there is no memory. Even though it inheres in the body, when the body dies, Atma is not affected because it is spacious like Akasha, not limited to the body, unquote. Thank you. We have heard many analogies portraying Atma, Brahman. One that is most striking is from Sureshwaracharya's Manasollasa. Dhuli andakara dhumabhra nirmukta gaganopamam. Just like space, which is free from dust, darkness, smoke and clouds. Doesn't that feel nice to hear? Swamiji unfolds the topic of karma nisheda. There are many thoughts in the apparatus called the body, but ego, the me thought, says, I think. One particular cause does not create an effect. Therefore, the notion I am the doer is wrong. What you say, do, etc. is thought structure. This mode of living creates struggle and strife in life. Activity is the copyright of the ego by and for the benefit of the ego. It is not the truth because an ego is a phantom. It claims action and result and thus creates the doer and enjoyer, resulting in pleasure and pain. Swamiji says, pain is inevitable in life, but suffering is needless. Suffering is needless. Realize this as a game of the ego and become free from all suffering, unquote. You see, friends, this I am the doer thing drives us into the me and mine syndrome. When Swamiji unfolded Kilya Bhava, Atma crystallizing as me and mine, from Alata Shanti Prakaranam, Swamiji said, end the Kilya Bhava now, the me and mine now, and allow it to collapse. Otherwise, listen to this, otherwise you become a tiny speck in space, a dash in time, an aging, disintegrating, decaying lump by becoming me and mine, a kilya, unquote. Now, can anyone duck this kind of a bombardment? Look at yourself and distinguish between doing and being. The pumping of the heart, talking, etc. that goes on is doing. The being is always in the background. The nature of action is a chain, a sequence, which goes on relentlessly. Fire continues to burn, but when fuel is not added, it dies. Similarly, action stops when desires stop. The willingness to step out of action is self-knowledge, unquote. When someone asked Ramana Maharishi, will karma ever end? The Maharishi replied, karma has its own destruction in its womb, unquote. Probing into the all-important verse 220, Anuranyan Mahato Mahiyan, Swamiji inundated us with multifaceted approaches and brought out amazing facts about the smallness and bigness of Atma. Swamiji, our question is, how to know Atma or its nature if it is not Karta Bhokta? Swamiji answers, Atma is smaller than the smallest, bigger than the biggest means space becomes irrelevant. This established the spaceless category of Atma. Atma being formless cannot be perceived, Anuraniyan. It is the origin of perception. If perceived, it will be enveloped by space, but the fact is, it encloses space. Therefore, it is bigger than the biggest, Mahato Mahiyan. The earth is big, but your knowingness envelops it. The body is a dot in the universe, but the knowingness envelops the entire galaxy. Further, when you go from mind to awareness, the entire universe is enveloped in the light of awareness, which is you, the Atma. Knowingness is bigger than the biggest. All existence is connected to your knowingness. This is a quantum leap. Friends, do you see the implication of this? Mind-boggling, isn't it? This is the Tattvamasi. You are that, not equal to that. It is not like John Travolta becoming equal to Michael Jackson in dancing. No, to be equal, you have to become something. There is nothing to become here. While expounding on Yoga Vasishta, our Swamiji emphatically stated, it is not an equation, it is an identity. When Shruti says, you, Shvetaketu, are that, Shvetaketu, the individual, is negated. From the universal point of view, the particular does not exist. unquote. Swamiji continues about Atma. The consciousness is the essence of all cognitions, therefore it is all objects. The universe is cradled in consciousness, and my being is also cradled in my consciousness. So all are in consciousness, and the universe has one Atma, my Atma. In Dakshinamurti Stotram, Swamiji stated, Swa Atmanam eva advayam. The advayam, oneness, is with reference to two things, the world and myself, and Atma and I. They, being the same consciousness, are but one, not two. This is the vision. Atma is safely hidden in the heart of all life forms. The power of divinity, Atma hiding within, directing and controlling, is like Polishetti Sriramulu hiding inside the radio and broadcasting. The hiding here means your vision, covered by ignorance, hides the ever-shining Atman, unquote. Swamiji brought out the underlying principle in the seeming contradictions about Atma. Atma is paradoxical reality. In spite of right ideas about it, you may not know it, but the paradoxes help to understand Atma. Only in association with the variety of adjuncts, Atma appears different. The paradoxes can be resolved positively. For example, Atma sleeps and yet does not mean it is sleeping, but goes everywhere in dream, unquote. The verse on Akshara Brahma Nirupanam asks, in this perishable universe, is there an imperishable? Swamiji says the answer is yes. It is Brahman. Motion in the perishable requires a fixed point, and that is immobile Brahman. To search for the truth, search for the imperishable in the perishable. From the perishing seed, the imperishable sprout comes. Life comes. The sprout is within the seed. Similarly, search for the truth, Brahman, within you. Truth cannot be described, only experienced, understood deep within, unquote. Don't you think Swamiji clarified the point so precisely that it is like we are receiving it on a silver platter? Swamiji said, self-knowledge is the full knowledge of what you are not. You will continue to discover yourself, and there will be no end to the discovery. The discovery comes from a source deeper than the thought. I am almost done. It is incorrect to say that whatever needs to be said about Atma is said, because Atma's expressions are infinite. When Mahatmas from yesteryears and now talk about it, it sounds ever so fresh and inspiring. Poet Pushpadanta says in Shivamahimna Stotram, Likhati yadi grihitva sharada sarvakalam tadapi tava gunanam ishaparam nayati. If the goddess of learning writes for eternity, even then the limit of thy virtues will not be reached. Unquote. And again, after all this, we are stunned, literally stunned, to hear the second Valli end with the declaration, Ka ita veda yatra saha. Who can know thus where that Atma is? Swamiji has given an extraordinary elucidation in Nasadya Suktam on a similar statement. Sa anga veda yadiva ne veda. He indeed knows, or it may be that even he does not know. Swamiji says, the hymn leaves the inquiry open-ended and unanswered. It goes to the extent of saying that it is not certain whether even Brahman knows, unquote. Astounding is what comes to the mind. Friends, as all of you know, Swamiji shies away from praise. To that Swamiji, all we can say is that it is part of your occupational hazard. Swamiji, how else can we convey our deep gratitude for the tireless hours you have been giving us year after year? How else can we tell you that your guidance has been a life-changing journey, qualitatively, providing value to our lives and a sense of direction and hope? How else can we verbalize that your words have taken a deeper dimension in all of us? Your compassion and wisdom has been an anchor for us, Swamiji. And so it is. With immense gratitude, we thank you for all that you do for us. In closing, I am sure it has been an inspiring 7 weeks for all of you, and I offer prayerful wishes for Bhagavan's grace to abide in you always and in all ways. Until we meet again in this hallowed hall, as Swamiji said, freedom is the Brahma Swarupa, the state of inner calm the teaching seeks to bring. Stay with the vision and imbibe it. My namaskaram to all of you.
Thank you, Swamini, for putting these intricacies of the teaching in succinct form. It requires entire knowledge to present it in synopsis way. Great job done by Swamini. This also inspires all of you to write your reflections, not to improve upon what has been written, but to see ourselves how much we have understood. I'm sure when you go back home, you will try to do it. That's a great reflection. Moving on to our next program. Now I invite Mr. T.K. Srinivasan to say a few words.
Mine will be short and sweet, hopefully. The main thing I wanted to say is, Swamini just asked, how do we express our gratitude, our reverence to our Acharya here? And the answer is, he actually said in Bhagavad Gita, when he was teaching chapter 13 or one of those Acharya Upasana, the best way you can show that is to live the teaching. There's nothing else you can do other than that. And so basically, I wanted to use that. In fact, I wanted to thank Kalpesh, because the same thing, he would want you to study and memorize the Sabdamanjari as a starting point. And Vijayaji, who was teaching 4 days a week, and Lance for 2 days. It was what they want us to do is to integrate yoga in our life. So that best way we can actually show this is actually integrated. And I've taken that message, and it has made a few changes in me. And that's what I wanted to share. Normally you don't talk about these things, but I just want to say more concretely how this actually comes up. Our Swamiji's, I learned something, he said love is scalar, not a vector, right? It means it's non-directional, right? And his love is non-directional. And you can go and, if you talk to him and do namaskar or something, he offers your hand. There's no gurudam or any such thing. Because he really respects the conversation during the time he's with you 100%, 100%. So with that, I wanted to say my experience. There was actually a mention by Swamini about Tattvamasi. So I actually came in, back in 2013. I was working 70 hours a week, and suddenly one day I decided I wanted to attend this 7-week course. And when I came here, Swamiji said somewhere, he said, if you're in a dream and there's a tiger that comes in your dream, you suddenly wake up. Supposedly, the Tattvamasi is supposed to wake you up like this. It didn't quite wake me up because years of thinking and doing all these things was all ideational, basically. But there's something else he said which was very thought-provoking to me. We all heard about you're not the body, mind, etc., all the identification. We hear these words. But he put it in a very personal terms. And in fact, that's one of the hallmark. He took a lot of risk in saying things which you don't hear anywhere else. And one of the first things that struck me was, he said, this identification is supposed to be things like my house, my bank account, my children, right? So my desires. So that was one of the first things that, even though I've heard these things, it didn't really make the same mark as hearing it in the thing. It was like a knife cutting through you. This is really Vedanta. It's not about some ideas about Brahman, Atma, etc. It's about what's in your heart and how you actually relate to other people and to yourself. So my desire, one other thing is coming from, with an identity of Tanjavur, we used to love coffee drinking, right? For 50 years of coffee making and filter coffee that my wife used to do. I somehow or the other learned in one of the classes, either reinforced this year also, that if you don't put any experience as something which is, likable, I love this or something, and we just don't have any, you don't label it, all of a sudden that interest actually disappears. And that's what happened with me with the coffee, so I gave it up. I know it's a trivial thing, but letting go, now I don't not only not miss it, I don't really care for it, right? So these specific thinking that he was teaching, that he was saying, actually do work, because they can work much small or large, it doesn't matter. So that is the my desire thing. The my bank account thing is a very interesting thing. It doesn't mean that, my understanding is not like I have to liquidate and become a sannyasi or anything. It means that I used to think of it as something that is my name next to it. So therefore, when the stock market, I was one of those people who worked in Lucent Technology, so you know what happened to it. $70 a stock went up to $1, and usually people buy low and sell high. My kids used to say, I buy high and sell low. So here it was like falling like crazy. And those days it used to bother me that why is this happening, right? Now it is all coming only because I put my name next to that, thinking that that's my security lies on that particular thing. And when you think yourself to be not tied to that security, what happens is it really doesn't affect you. It's still there, something there, but it's not something that your relationship to that actually changes. And my house, I don't call it anyway, but this house perhaps. But the hardest one is probably my children, my family, etc. And one of the things that in either a satsang or something in not only reinforced this year also, what Swamiji said is that really the kind of prayer, somebody asked maybe how do you pray for others or something like that, you don't pray for anybody, but rather than think of them as my children, you say they are Ishvara's children. And when you do that, what happens is you're not anymore feeling like you do your duty, but there's no pressure. There's nothing about this, that connection is not there. It's not like you're letting go anything. But he was also quick to point out that my children are not my children, but they're Ishvara's children, means the world is Ishvara's children. And so, Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha, when you're saying, is that think about the people that you may have disliked or whatever it is in the past, and you bring them up and think about it. So these are not something which are just regular teaching, but they're actual practical thing that actually makes a huge difference. So primarily, the main thing I want to say and close this year I learned something, which is this: I'm dead to my memory. It's really fantastic, phenomenal, because then I have no regrets of the past. And I knew as a scientist, physicist, ex-physicist identification, and of course, studied basically that time is not real. But there is no future means, there's no psychological future. That means there is nothing to really worry about what is there. It doesn't exist. So therefore, this is, as he very poetically put it, this is a timeless journey in a pathless land where the destination is already reached. And we are all on a quest to reach there by discovering that Ishvara in our heart. So that's the journey we're all in. I really enjoyed each and every one of your interaction with each of you, and specifically hearing Swamiji, even though some of the things we knew, it was ever fresh every day. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Srinivasanji. Now, I invite Bon, Aditya and Navya. They are young at age and young at heart, and I'm sure all of you are young at heart. Navya, please come.
Excuse me. By humble namaskaram to Ishvara, Swamiji, and all of you, I would like to thank Suddhatmaji for giving me an opportunity to say a few words about what I learned in the camp. So without wasting much time, I will mention 3 points which have really helped me to get going in this camp. The first one, the advice given by Swamiji. He mentioned that a lot of people come to Vedanta study with enthusiasm, vigor, but their interest is soon doused because of lack of focus. He goes on to say that one needs to develop viveka and vairagya and vyavasatmika buddhi to make sure that the energies are not dissipated, and one should be earnest in pursuing Vedanta study. So this advice has really helped me to keep myself in check in what I am doing and what I am pursuing in life. So that was the first one. And the second one, the teaching has really taught me to be open-minded and accept whatever comes my way cheerfully with a smile. It has taught me that life is just not about going through experiences, but learning from them and making every experience as a step towards progressing towards self-knowledge. This open awareness has really helped me to imbibe good qualities and knowledge from everybody in the ashram and around. This one, the last point is this is the most important one for me. Apo Dipo Bhava is what Buddha said when he was leaving his body to his disciples. Be a light unto oneself. This teaching has given me the confidence and strength to take charge of my life and guide its course towards Atmagnana. Thank you, Swamiji, for repeating that over and over again. You are the master, you are the pupil, is what I like very much. It has reduced my external dependence and has taken me inwards. I have understood that the external guru is for showing the internal guru. Once you get hold of the internal guru, everything falls into place automatically. I thank Savitri Amma for the play and all others who have sort of participated in the play. I thank Swamiji and Shruti Mata and others for showering so much love on me during my stay here. And also would thank the ashram, Suddhatmaji, Vimalaji, and all the cooking facilities and everybody for making my stay at the ashram wonderful. Thank you all.
Sri Gurubhyo Namaha, Atmaswarupa Bandhugana. Thank you, Suddhatmaji. Well, though I'm not prepared, I want to speak out my heart. I really don't know to thank whom, but I would like to thank that which strived me to come here. I would like to thank that which is beyond the space, also includes each and every part of the universe. And also I want to thank that which I cannot express and which is beyond my anticipation and beyond your expecting that what I would say. So I really don't know what it is, but I would like to be that. So, so that's it. Thank you.
So one other thing, Ganesha-ji, who is in the part of the camp but is not able to make it today, he has sent out a small message, and I'll just be reading out that. Thank you, Mandaji. He says, Namaste all. I have not seen Swami Vivekananda or Swami Ramatirtha, but I get an idea of how they would have been by listening and observing you, Swamiji. I thoroughly enjoyed the lectures in person or remote last few weeks. Swamiji beautifully unfolds the vision of oneness with amazing clarity and great sense of humor. It has rekindled my interest for full assimilation of this great knowledge. The ambience of many dedicated students and such nice persons all during this camp has been quite inspiring as well. Thanks again for such brilliant discourses. We are all indeed blessed, as Shankara said in the following Viveka Chudamani verse. Durlabham trayam evaitat devanugrahetukam manushyatvam mumukshotvam mahapurusha samshayaha. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha.
This last thing, indeed, I'm thanking everyone.
Thank you, Navya and Aditya, and I'm sure you'll be source of inspiration to many youngsters to come here. Not that we are tired of you people, you please continue. You are the source of inspiration, and they have started, I'm sure, when that is benefited to them, I'm sure they will share their experiences and thoughts, that all that they had here, and try to bring in some new people. That would be great. Next, our Ramuluji will say a couple of words.
I am very grateful to Swamiji's teaching, and even I am listening to him for the last 20 years. That doesn't mean anything. A few times when I wanted to buy a huge home in Florida, on that day morning I was reading the Vaidyacha Prakaranam by Swamiji, and I had only about 1 hour time to cancel that thing, and I canceled it, and Aruna said, okay, and then got it out. And the second, I was so grateful that I did not get into that mud or mire, you know. And the second time, and my children are coming on the way too, children and grandchildren, and Swamiji's teaching came, and my wife, Sapatni, Aruna granted, and we said, okay, get rid of this house, and we got rid of the house, and no more houses, owning nothing, and then we came over here with staying in a small apartment. And that is again from Swamiji's teaching, the less and the more freedom I have. And the third one, and I was hit with, not I, this body and mind was hit with a major disease, and like a lymphoma or whatever it is, and then has the surgery and treatment at Hopkins, and I was present throughout the disease, and everybody was laughing, and I was laughing more than that. I was telling them, how are you? Not me. And I'm okay, you know, all the time. And I enjoyed my disease, actually. And I mean, that taught me another final lesson, even at the time of the death, and even at the time of separate my body and mind clearly out of my thing, and that because of the Puja Swamiji, and otherwise I would not never had that opportunity. I'm very grateful for my wife. You want to come for a second, Aruna? I'm grateful for my wife supporting all the time through the things, because you do need the support for the body and mind, you know, as Swamiji says, and Atma doesn't need support, but the body and mind need support, and that support came. And I was totally free. And Chandra helped me on the other side, supporting on this side, Tulsi, and of course even Geetaji. They all were, majority of the people were helping me, and Kiran was helping me how to get the strength and support. But I was grateful to Swamiji for giving me that separation out, separate the body and mind out. And otherwise, and of course, Suddhatmaji giving me the other support, and he's creating all these awesome things. And it was a pleasure to have the disease. I enjoy the disease. Thank you.
Thank you, Ramulaji. The purpose of Ramulaji is sharing story, not his own story, just he shared with you, saying that even in disease, how he felt the presence of teaching all the way. So they are not mere words, they are facts of life. Thank you, Ramulaji and Pranaji. So I think we are coming close to the program now. Arvind Bagal had requested me that he will say a couple of words. He is here. Arvind? Yeah, please come, Arvindji, if you are ready. Minimum 2 minutes, maximum 1.5 minutes. Please come.
Following these learned people who had so much knowledge, what can I say? I cannot say too much. If I were to say something about Swamiji's greatness, his knowledge, and his teaching, I don't have to tell you that. You all know it. Everyone here knows this. So that would be just of no use. Some of you probably know Swamiji much better than I do. So I'm not going to do it. About experiences, many experiences. If I were to tell you about my experiences with Swamiji, it will take a long time. But what's the point there? All of you have lots of experiences with Swamiji. I'm not going to talk about that also. There might be something that I might talk about, not exactly the knowledge, but as far as the knowledge is concerned, I am somebody who sits here on the floor, an ordinary student. I cannot say any more than the people who have said it already before. But just struck this thing in the beginning, very start of the course, and it just reflects on what Swamiji is. Swamiji said one sentence: scholarly teaching doesn't matter. It is what you tell the students that matters. And that's what Swamiji has been doing. He has been teaching us, and his emphasis on teaching. And that makes a lot of difference, because there are scholars. There are scholars and scholars. There are Swamis and everything. Here is somebody who is going to tell you what is good and right for you and what you should be doing. That makes the difference. And I'm not praising Swamiji, because I said right in the beginning, I am not going to do that, because there's no sense at all in praising Swamiji. Everybody knows what he is. Then, when you come to this, you can also say that I can only share with you one possible experience. Or I can say it's not an experience, but something that Swamiji has emphasized again and again, that when you go back home, and when you sit down, when you are back with your families and everybody, don't forget to do what you have to do as far as a math is concerned. That do the meditation, read something good. And that seems to me the good lesson. I did that. I did that last year, and I did that. And I can guarantee you that if you do that, next year when you come back here for the course, you are going to find it a very, very, very good experience, because you have done some homework before you come here. Saying that, I don't have much time. You didn't give me much time, this much, so I'm not going to go too far with that thing. But may I mention just a minute or two on this one? And this is about 20 years back. I drove from Washington, D.C. on that road in the back. It was about 8 or 9 o'clock in the night, and Vimalaji was giving me instructions how to get into that ashram. It was a little late and very cold night. I turned in, and I saw little sign, Arsha Vidya Gurukulam. I came in, it was all dark. Many of these buildings were not over there and all that. 3 persons made my life, last 20 years, a big change. The first, of course, our Puja Swamiji. He, in American slang, he straightened me out. Literally straightened me out. I was a mess. Second person, who started his career almost at the same time when I came, started the career. He was nobody at that time. And then we become little friends and little more and more. He has been an inspiration, and he has been a good friend since then. Suddhatmaji. And third, of course, I don't have to say that. That's not a person. This is just the third. That's what it is. And this Swamiji put me on the path of life to go to that padam. Follow this path. I am walking ahead of you. Walk behind me. And I started walking behind him. I thought many times, once in a while I thought, where am I going? It's like the Yoga Vashishta we talked about long time back, getting lost in the forest. I was walking behind him, and Swamiji, don't take this literally. This is just a story. Okay? Just like Swamiji says, it's not a real thing. Swamiji is walking ahead, I walking behind him. Swamiji has a lamp in his hand, and he's ahead, and I'm walking, and I'm just saying, does he know where he is going? Yeah. What do I have to lose? I say to me, what do I have to lose if I follow him? After all, I'm lost. What do I get? So I started walking behind it. And I could see the path. Again, this is a parable. Don't say that I was doing it. I walked and walked and walked. I could see the light. I could see the path. And I was walking. And then I said to Swamiji, Swamiji, that's very nice of you. I can see this light. Swamiji says, what light? I says, the light you have in your hand. Swamiji says, no, I don't have that light. Swamiji, how am I seeing this path? It's your light, it's your Atmadip. It's just lighting. Now you are seeing this path and you are walking on it. Keep on it. Go ahead with it. Okay, that's all, folks. I'm going to stop now. I'm not going to go too far because of the time restriction. Okay? So, it's like you are going to be on the road. you are going to be driving. This is a very crowded weekend. And also, if you are going to an airport, make sure you go a little earlier. The airports are getting very nasty, and you have to get there in time. And what can I say? We are going to see you next year again here, all of you. And saying that in Hindi, अगर भगवान चाहे तो फिर से मुलाकात होगी आपसे. Meaning, like Swamiji has said once, if God wills, we will see you again. Take care of yourself. Thank you.
Thank you, Arvindji. It's very sweet. Throughout the talk, he convinced me that he took only 1.5 minutes, but it was very infinite. Thank you. I think we are very close to closing the event. Anybody wants to say something? 1 minute. Okay, please come. We would like to invite everyone, but we don't want to make it a boring session over to anyone. It has to be interesting. So, Raghu.
I'm not prepared, so I will say 2 things only. I will fine-tune myself, I will fine-tune my psyche, and contribute more to the society. That's what I will show respect to Swamiji by implementing whatever I learned in these 7 weeks.
Thank you. He saved 50 seconds. 30 seconds. Okay, we'll move on with that. Our program, the few more announcements, and we'll get ready for the Guru Dakshina. So, please join us in our teaching programs and other activities in 2017 and 18. And would be glad to have your valuable suggestions in writing via email at suddhatma@gmail.com for us to make implementation in future. If you notice something that drastically needs some change, please do. Please feel free to write to us so that we can improve. And we are all fortunate to have Swamiji's gracious consent to come next year to continue Kathopanishad for 8-week course. Of course, he added God willing, but I'm sure it will happen. So remember, it will be next year, not 7-week course, it will be 8-week course. So be prepared. We are telling you ahead of time in case you have to apply for leave or you have to make important adjustments to come here so that you can enjoy the course for 8 weeks. The course will begin on September 26th and it will end on November 20th. Thanks, Swamiji, for considering. Everyone, from here, we offer prayers to Lord Dakshinamurti to bless Swamiji with sound health and continue this teaching here back in India. Thank you very much. Now we will get ready for Guru Dakshina. Before that, I request Thierry, Girija, Radha and Kalpesh to come and offer Guru Dakshina on students' behalf. Raviji, you have plate. All the teachers. Yeah. So on your behalf, they are offering a small token to Swamiji. Swamiji, please accept it. It's on everybody's behalf. And teachers are representing them. So thank you, teachers. Thank you very much. So now I think Ravi can. Swamiji, first will do Arati? Simultaneously. So, Guru Dakshina group, whomsoever is getting ready, I mean, I'm sure it is Prasanna who helps us. Not that she wants to do, but we want her to do. So, yeah. So, she will arrange it. Please come one by one. And meanwhile, those whose turn have not come to offer Guru Dakshina, they can attend Arati and have blessings of Lord Dakshinamurti. Once again, our salutation to Lord Dakshinamurti and Pujya Swamiji for having this wonderful facility to learn and understand. Thank you very much. Kamakama Yamahyam Kameshwaro Vaishravano Dadatu Kuberagya Vaishravanagya Maharajaya Namaha Tasuryo Bhatina Chandra Tarakam Nema Vidyuto Bhanti Kutoyam Agnighe Tamiva Bhantamanubhati Sarvam Tasya bhasa sarvamidam vibhati. Hara Hara Mahadev. Pratamam purastad vishwadhiyo rudro maharshighe hiranyagarbham pashyata jayamanagam sano devashubhaya smrutya sanyunakto yasmat param na paramasti kinchid yasmannaniyo najjayo asti kaschit vrikshaiva sthabdo divitishtatte kaste nedam purnam purushena sarvam na karmana na prajaya dhanena tyage naike amritatvamanushuho parena nakam nihitam guhayam vibhrajate yadyatayo vishante Vedanta Vijnana Sunischitartha Sannyasa Yogat Yataya Shuddha Sattva Agha Te Brahma Loki Tu Para Antakale Paramritat Parimuchanti Sarve Dahram Vipapam Parame Ishma Bhutan Yat Pundharikam Puramadya Saggastam Tatrapi Dahram Gaganam Vishokastasmin Yadantastadupasitavyam Yo Vedadau Swara Prokto Vedante Cha Pratisthitaha Tasya Prakritilinasya Yah Parassa Maheshwaraha Om Har Har Namah Parvati Pataye Om Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pashyantu Ma Kaschid Dukkha Bhag Bhavet Asato ma sadgamagya tamaso ma jyotirgamagya mrutyor ma amritam gamaya Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. We are going to publish Swamini's writings in Arsha Vidya Bharati, so you will have access to that. And in case if you want to have a copy before you leave, perhaps you can ask her and she would give it to you so that you can have it. Thank you. mass you can attend it. You can attend at least 2 masses. You're okay, not what. Okay. So there is a reason.